Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode 98 of the Audible Farm podcast, and this episode is brought to you by Couchtown Coffee. Couchtown Coffee is roasted in Iowa, and it's made to order, so if you make an order, they're roasting coffee specifically for you. That's neat. Not only is it neat, it's some of the best coffee I've ever had. So check it out. Go to www.couchtowncoffee.com, find a coffee you like, and when you send in your order, enter the code word Rambler, and you can save 20%. The code word this week is Rambler, and you can save 20%. Why? Because Couchtown Coffee is awesome, and they support live music just like we do. So check them out, www.couchtowncoffee.com. The code word this week is Rambler. And why is the code word this week Rambler? Well, I'm sitting down with the Wright County Rambler himself, Clint Riedel. Clint and I have become buddies pretty much just from doing the podcast. That's how I met him. And we've checked in on him a few different times here throughout the last 100 episodes or so. And the last time we talked to him was right when COVID hit. And so we got a little bit of a look into what he was facing as COVID had started. And now that, you know, performers are allowed to go back and play in bars and things like that, I figured I'd sit down with him again and get his take on how things have changed and maybe how his approach has changed, etc. And we had a pretty good conversation about it. We talked about the jam nights. We talked about, the jam nights. Everything's picking up at the jam nights. It's been crazy in Barnum, so check those out. Otherwise, we've been talking about his schedule and how things have changed. And it's been a pretty good podcast. You know, we sat down and discussed all sorts of different stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Stick tight. It's episode number 98 with the Wright County Rambler, Clint Riedel.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
Oh, baby, I'm sitting down with Clint today. Clint Riedel, what's up, man?
Oh, just hanging out, enjoying the nice weather.
Yeah, man. Last time you and I talked was actually in the middle of COVID. You know, it was one of those things where everyone was starting to do those live feeds and things like that, you know, and setting up their Cash App accounts and Venmo accounts and things. And, you know, we were just kind of discussing like the different avenues everybody had to take in order to get things done and how everyone was starting to do new things just to, you know, try to pass the time and entertain everyone still. But, you know, now, I guess as of the time we're recording this, everything's still open and running. You know, it's back up. Musicians have been back at it for like, what, a month?
Yeah, a little bit longer, but not truly working, you know, like even the bars were hesitant and some musicians were. Like I've picked up a couple of gigs up in Okoboji just because there's some bands like they call and say, we don't feel safe, we're not going to play there, so they cancel. And you know me, I'll pick that up on a dime.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense too. It's tough to, we're still in that weird spot where it's like it's tough to sit on one side of the fence or the other, really, because it's, you know, I understand it's, you know, pandemic, there's a virus, you know,
sure.
It's harming people, but at the same rate, like, you know, this is what you do for a living, so you got to find a way in order to, try to make something out of anything.
You bet. Like that Venmo stuff only went so far. Like people were gracious, and I really appreciate all you out there. The first couple of times, you know, but it's not like my normal schedule where I'm hopefully playing 3 gigs a week, and you know, those are paying gigs and people are around and it's a really good time. And now it's just like a lot of it's the atmosphere there. So when we were doing that Venmo push, it was just like, okay, this is sweet and all, but I'm just, you know, sitting on my couch watching you guys. So it's like, I gave you $20 last week, so thanks for the songs.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get you, man. I mean, it's got to feel weird, though, that, like, that came out of nowhere. Like, it was just a thing. It's just like, well, I'll just play at my house and hey, this is my Venmo if you want to give me money, otherwise don't, but I'm just sitting here playing anyways, so yeah, so here you go. And then people started, you know, like you said, throwing down money, $5, you know, $10, $1, anything.
And it really did help. I do appreciate all that, because like ramen noodles and cheap bourbon for a couple of months. But.
Yeah, I mean, and that's got to be something really cool to feel that, like, shows are starting to fire back up again. You're starting to play every weekend in different towns again. So everything's starting to go back to normal, at least a little bit.
Oh yes, I love it. This has been a really good summer so far, honestly. Well, as far as it could be, we've had a couple of shows that have canceled because they're not having it, like a couple of town days and county fairs and stuff like that. But you just got to stay hustling, and yeah, I'm finding gigs, unfortunately, a couple of times overlapping. So anybody out there want to be a secretary to a dirty folk musician, and call me up, let me know.
Well, I mean, that's kind of cool though. Like, you go from beforehand, you're playing shows every weekend, and then all of a sudden it ends, and you're scrapping to do anything you can to, just pass the time musically and still entertain people. And now it's like, it's almost opened back up, and because, like you said, some places still want to have shows, but their normal band, like they have a list of bands they can call, and it's like, do you guys want to do a show, Band A? And Band A says, our bassist doesn't want to go play in public, so we're just not going to. And it's like, okay, understandable, And then, like you said, you get down to you and your band B or C, and it's like, hey, do you want to play a show? And they're like, heck yeah, because you can do it solo, so that's probably also the benefit of it.
Yeah, honestly, like I got a gig coming up this weekend, and it was going to be Brad Hofing and I over at the Loft again. It would be our second time in Waterloo, but he turns out he can't make it. So I called up my buddy Jordan, and I said, hey man, let's do this. And he's like, of course. So we're going to go over there, and I think I talked Caleb into it. We'll see. But it's kind of a drive, and I'm going to have to hassle him for a little more money, throw another guy up there. So
yeah,
we'll check it out. But yeah, we're so versatile. As long as like the Day Drinkers or Brutal doesn't have a show, like that's another challenge, is making sure everybody gets together on dates. Like, nope, can't, right on. Because we're all starting to get flooded with work. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, it's got to be really great, and I mean, I don't play too many shows, anyways, I guess, other than in my punk band, but those are usually like at bars and things. But you were talking about how like some like cities will have their own, like, oh, we're doing whatever days, or like this town days,
Sure.
or something, and some of those are not happening in some of the, I would say, like bigger cities, because you and I live in smaller towns. But, some of the bigger cities justifiably are kind of closing down their city dances, because it's like, well, do we really need like 1,000 people all rubbing elbows? It's like, no, don't need to poke the bear.
Yeah, these small town days, they're like, oh, 100 people showed up. That was more than last year, and it's still completely safe.
Yeah, it's way safer to play those odds than it would be to be like, who's going to be liable when 1,000 people start like sneezing on each other? And,
For real.
Yeah, and I totally understand that. But it sucks because it's taking jobs away, a little bit. There's some of these ones that are really big town, dances, or like street dances in the main street, and they're getting shut down, and it happens, and it's understandable that these towns are like, willing to do that just to keep everybody safe. But it's just such a bummer though. Nothing like this has ever happened.
Yeah, I never saw anything like this coming, but Brad Hofing is a genius, and he called it straight out of the gate, like a week before the shit. Like, everyone just said, nope, we're not doing nothing. Stay home. So he was like, yeah, I bet in about a week they're going to tell you to stay home and do nothing. I'm like, Brad, you are insane. Nope, he's the smartest man I know.
Yeah, well, I mean, and justifiable, like, if he can't make it to a show, it's understandable. I wouldn't,
no doubt. He's got a family. I, however, have a cat. So.
So yeah, I mean, different factors at play there, definitely, for sure. And it's also one of those things, like during all of this, you got to find something else to keep you busy. And I mean, you and I have palled around here and there since I met you, which is kind of crazy to think that like you and I met literally for the first time ever on this podcast.
Yeah, like where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah, and where I'm sitting right now in the same situation. So, and it's crazy to think that like in the music community around here, you've become one of my better friends, I guess.
Definitely.
It's if I'll just come out and say it, we're friends and whatever. But like you and I, while all this was happening, I had spitballed you the idea of I had showed you a video I took on my phone, and you were like, wow, that looks really clear and it sounds really good. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, like, we could try and do something like make a music video if you really wanted to, and I don't have like a degree in video production. I was just curious when I was younger and I had a computer, so I always just dug into every program and all this different softwares, and I was like, I could probably make a video. So I used to like make little videos and things, and I was like, it wouldn't be super like high-end production, but it would be a good music video nonetheless.
Yeah, those cameras are freaking fantastic.
Yeah, and it was just from a phone, and we like spitballed the idea, and it's like, how much are you charging for this? You and I had worked out something pretty cool. I got a painting out of it, so
yeah,
yeah.
Man, I'm big on the bartering system.
Yeah, man, and so I mean that was something really cool, and I just wanted to see if I could do it, and you and I were just kind of hanging out anyways, so we just took an afternoon and picked a handful of different places and recorded, the song, and then I mushed it all together and brought it back to you, and you.
Yeah, and it's got like quite a few views. I haven't seen it in a while, but I think we broke like 3,000 or something, so that's a lot of eyeballs.
Yeah. I mean, it has like 3,000 some views on Facebook at least.
Yeah, that feels good.
And it's got to feel good, especially because like we didn't go into this thinking like as in a promotional sense the correct way. We should have like teased the video for weeks and then put it out.
Oh, sure.
A la Scott Kirkhart.
Oh, yeah, man. He's got like a bazillion views on a video.
A literal bazillion. Yeah.
That's a lot of zeros.
Yes. So, I think it's actually over 100,000, which is pretty
Good
wild.
God, really?
Yeah, I
Jesus.
swear. So, but that was something, he did it the right way where he teased it and teased it and teased it with like little tiny clips of his music video. And then he was just like, boom, it's coming out on this day. This is the day we chose. And everybody was waiting for it and ready for it, And with us, we just like within about a week or two, we're just kind of like, hey, we made a music video.
Check it out what we did that afternoon.
Yeah, and it was actually like something pretty fun to do, just on the simple fact that I'd never done anything like it, and I sat and watched Jesse Wilson record his music video.
Oh yeah, that was a production right there.
That was big time. His is going to be one of the good ones, like Scott's. Like Scott Kirkhart's.
That's got to be dropping like real soon.
He had teased that it was going to drop really soon. I forgot the date. I actually thought it was supposed to be this last Friday, but I think it might be next Friday. That is as of the time we're recording this, but it should be coming out really, really soon. I know it is probably by the end of the month, by the end of July. So.
Oh yeah, everyone out there, be sure to check that out. Me and Jeremy Ober are in there, and Cal, and well, of course Jesse. But that was a lot of fun. Shot it over parts of it at the junkyard, and we just, made an afternoon of it, drinking beer, being told where to stand and how to look. It was a good time.
Yeah, I mean that was really fun because I came over just to see what everybody was doing, just to see what was up, and I got put, like I didn't get put at the bar, but it was just like, where can I sit that's out of the way? And I just like sat at the bar. And I was like, this will be a good spot. I'm not in the way. I don't think I'll be in any shots, And then there was the guy who was running the camera and directing the whole thing was just like, hey, I took some shots from like outside and around the corner and stuff, and you might be in some B-roll footage, so maybe I'm in it too. But
featuring Peter Stockdale,
you might see me in the background bobbing my head to the tunes, and that was something cool because I'd never seen anything like that done either.
No, me either at all. Like he showed up with one of those like hanging rigs and all that jazz. It was like, whoa. But yeah, I think you did a fine job with 2 iPhones.
Yeah, I mean, not to like give the secret out, but I literally like if you watch Clint's music video, which is on the Audible Farm YouTube channel, or Clint's Facebook.
Yeah, we should just tag that at the end of this.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'll put it in the description, as that way everybody can just scroll down and look at it. So there will be a link to it down in the description, but you should check that out. I mean, it's what we did was we literally just sat down with some iPhones and used those as the recording devices, and it's not like I have 2 iPhones, but like I have an old one and a new one, so I just brought my old one with and was like, well, this thing's got a camera and it's better than, it's actually better than any of the like GoPros I have or anything like that. It's better than a couple of
beats my track phone. Like I try to send pictures or videos to people and they're like, why are you, what are you doing? This is blurry as hell and just tiny. Stop it.
Yeah, I mean, and that was what was neat because we just like, well, let's throw this on a tripod or let's walk around with it, and we didn't do too many takes. I think we did like at most like 30 takes.
My favorite part was when that old lady, well, she's not an old lady, she's a nice little lady across the street was mowing her lawn. Like,
oh yeah,
like of course you can't hear it because we're just using like Brad Hofing, Dead Road Music. It's his recording. So we just played that through that like a Bluetooth speaker and, strummed along to it. And then hopefully it'd line up later. But that little lady that was like mowing her lawn across, she's like just kind of waving, but kind of not. And she's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And then Eric Dillon later talked to her, and he's like, they're shooting a music video over there. She's like, I know. And she just stopped in the background and everything. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty fun because I remember we were like just shooting some videos for fun and out there. We did a lot of goofing off, and I just left cameras rolling so I could get B-roll stuff. But it was pretty fun because like you said, you're like playing along to stuff, and I'm like looking over there, and she'd like cruise by and like wave at you real big, and it's just like you just look over and smile, like, hey, still doing something here.
Well, that's like Dino. Hey, Dean. Dean Peterson here in town. He's probably going to be in Jesse's music video.
Oh, cool.
He's a local, and he was at the bar with us while we were shooting it. And like one scene or whatever, I'm pulling up on my motorcycle, and like they're filming me pulling up. That's the whole purpose. Just drive up there, stop it, get off. Okay, so I do. And here comes Dean flying out of left field, just like, hey, what's going on, man? I'm like,
cool.
How's it going? I don't think you're supposed to. Okay, let's just continue talking.
Yeah.
But so who knows? I hope that stayed in there.
I mean, some of those natural interactions are some of the best. Like I don't know, we'd record stuff, and like I said, I'm running 2 cameras and trying to like coordinate everything the best I can to get it to work, while you're doing all the playing and looking good. And so like we'd get done with everything, and I'd have all, like about a minute worth of scratch footage before and after. And like there's I took some of that, and added it in there as well. And I mean, we cliched it a little bit too. We went on the railroad tracks and stuff. But
it's so convenient when this is your backyard. That junkyard is like 20 feet from my door.
Yeah, it's real close. I mean, that was one of the other cool things was we did all the recording for all this one, pretty close to one location. And I'm glad we didn't use the junkyard in this video, just due to the fact that
the bar.
Yeah, the actual bar itself.
Yep.
Instead of, because Jesse's going to put his out, and
Sure.
that's where his is going to be based on. And I didn't want to steal the thunder beforehand,
Yeah, and there's another cat who like recorded one up here. Like he came up from Des Moines, I think, like new country artist, and like he had another like big production cat come along with him, and they shot all sorts of scenes. It's out there in the world. I can't remember the artist's name, but
I'll have to see if I can find that. I've been trying to hunt down as many music videos from people from Iowa. So if anyone's listening to this and you've made a music video, send it on over to Audible Farm somehow.
Sure, yeah.
I want to check it out.
All the more eyes on it, man. Like I love that you share everybody's stuff.
Yeah, I try my best. If I see it, it's just like, ooh, I got to share this to at least, share it at least to the group, so everybody that follows the Audible Farm group on Facebook, can see what I see, and
well, and the music scene's freaking happening around here, and it really has been for a little while now. But I just started hanging out with this new person, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't." Like, I didn't know about all this before. It's like, yeah, you really wouldn't expect it when you walk into town that, like, Sneaker, C-Tap, even 4th Street, and oh God, Dodger Tap, just all these places, and
Shiny Tap.
Yeah,
I mean, you just go down
River,
the list.
Yeah, that's just basically everyone is really music friendly around here. At least one day, like
Yeah.
I think Monday is our only day off. Like Tuesday I run a jam. Wednesday there used to be bike night all the time, but now there's sneakers, and
Oh God, I mean, it just keeps going. I was just thinking about other ones like Amigos.
Thursdays Byron's host jams, and it's just it's all over the place all the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably at least 10 places in Fort Dodge that'll not just like allow music. There's some that feature music. Not they have one feature day, plus they'll have somebody on the weekends, coming in, and there's all sorts of cool stuff like that, as well as places that don't always have music that would still love to have music.
Yeah, so she was just like blown away, and then to just enter this scene and like start hanging out with my friends and stuff, and realize there's just a ton of like-minded dirty musicians around this area. Like you come to a jam and meet like 10 people that you may or may not assumed was a musician, but they're all up there just blowing your mind. Like last week was a blast.
Yeah, I think about stuff like that. Like you go to jam nights and everyone's there to have fun, and I fall into the trap myself so many times where it's like, man, there's so many good people here. I don't want to go up there and ruin this. And it's like, you're not going to ruin it, you know? You're going to do what you do, and it's not what they do. It's different. And
yeah, and if it meshes, awesome. If not, no big deal. You know, it's such a laid back environment. Like,
yeah. And I mean, that's the thing everyone's got to remember going to jam nights is just go out there and have fun, because everyone wants everyone to have fun. And I mean,
and in this situation, I've been in others, but everyone here is rooting for you. Like, you know,
yeah.
I hope you do good. If you try as hard as you can, you're getting like really good applause.
Yeah, I mean, there's some jam nights where people are like, well, this is the song list in this key, so you know, work on these songs and then come up and play one of them with us.
Yeah,
but these ones, it's just kind of like, what's somebody playing? You know, a couple weeks ago, I was playing guitar up there, and Jeremy Ober was just like, pick a key, and somebody was just like, you know, I can't remember what it was, something weird like A sharp minor, and he's just like, all right,
might as well.
He looks at it for about 3 seconds, and he's like, all right, here we go, and he starts playing Red House, and it's just like, how do you do that, you know? And it came out of nowhere, and it was just like, I don't know how to play Red House, you know, off the top of my head. So I'll tell you what, I'm just gonna augment all the stuff he's doing and play some nice, you know, simplified chords that fit along with it, and play some leads when I can, and you know, everything worked out, you know.
Oh, God, yeah.
Another one we did was East Side Window. That was, you know, there's a music video for that one. Yeah, that's a killer song, which is a song that I have never played before, not even at a jam night, which is
Isn't that fun, though? Like, you don't expect to learn this song ever. I've got one of his under my belt, but I can never remember the words, so I love jamming on it, but I get the chance to play it on a Tuesday with him, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that was something really cool. It's really special for me, too. You know, Jeremy's been one of those people that's been in the scene around here for over a decade, you know. And,
well, he is immortal. So.
And it's just kind of crazy to think about that kind of stuff where it's like, man, this song's, I think East Side Window's probably been out for about 10 years, maybe. I don't know. That's my guess. That's just a blind guess. I could look it up, but...
I think you're probably... pretty close, man.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's something I've never tried to play, and I'd go to jam nights every now and then, and I'd hear him bust it out. It was just like, dude, this song is so cool, and then you get up there and play it, and the best part was you get done and you go outside, and, you know, there's a couple other musicians palling around outside, and someone comes out and they're like, dude, I just got to tell you, that was awesome. And it was just like, what? And they're like, I can't believe you ripped it up like that on East Side Window. And it was like, I never played it before. I was just kind of
a good feeling.
I was all on the fly, you know, and they're like, you've never played that, and it was that good? It was like, yeah, you know, and it's not like I destroyed the song and just shredded the whole thing up,
but to walk up there and, you know, add your voice to it and never playing it before is a pretty good feeling.
It's such a good feeling, you know, and that made me think, you know, everyone's up there just to try to help everyone else have a good time. And, you know, Jeremy always calls out the key changes pretty well if he's got some weird stuff going on, and that's another thing that I've always kind of liked about him, you know. For example, last week at the jam night, which we should talk about because there were so many awesome people that just randomly showed up, which was really cool.
Yeah, no doubt. Like Bo Bonner, my buddy, I used to play with him back in the day, and Scott Kirkhart, and your pal that you brought around.
Yeah,
oh man,
Dan Blair.
We had some hitters up there. That was fun.
It was really fun. And I remember there was some song somebody was playing, and it was something goofy.
Jesse Wilson was up there, like with full band because we were all there. So it's like, I didn't know Scott Kirkhart could play the drums. I'll say that right now, but he could play the hell out of them.
He can play them very well, you know.
Yeah.
And he's like, I haven't played since high school, and it's like, whatever, dude. You're just up there destroying
He's
it.
a closet drummer, like down in his basement. He's got a Neil Peart kit.
It's a big gong behind him.
He's like, oh, I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah, he was super good. I mean, and that's the other fun thing was I didn't even know he was there, and it's Scott Kirkhart, plays guitar and sings, you know, Salty View, solo stuff and the whole 9 yards. But then he's just like, is anybody playing drums? It's like, no. He's like, does anybody care if I get up there? I'm like, no. They want you to get up there. You know, I play drums there. That's how much everyone loves somebody playing drums at jam nights.
Yeah, I'll even get up there and, oh my God, ruin whoever's playing a song. Yeah.
Yeah, I will give you an AC/DC rock beat for everything, and it'll still be better than nothing. But Scott goes up there and he's hitting ghost notes and rolling all over the place. Like, what are you doing, dude? You're that good, and you've just been hiding out. Get up there, you know? Like,
why wouldn't you? Yeah.
Oh man, it was so good. But yeah, I love how everybody helps each other at the jam nights. Like, somebody was up there playing and they couldn't hit the key that they were in because it was in a major key, and Jeremy was just like, I know what he just like in his mind was like looking. He's like, he's trying to do this all in minor, and he's just like, this is the minor key you want to try to be in, and instantly the guy was just like, boom, and nailed it. And he was just like, thank you, and
Oh, yeah, definitely.
it's not like we're trying to call you out or anything, but Jeremy just saw somebody struggling and was just like, try it this way, and they did, and it's just click, boom, it worked. Some of that probably comes from Jeremy doing guitar lessons and playing guitar
definitely.
forever. But
Yeah, but everyone just tries to be like a good Papa Bear, like,
Yeah.
I only want to see you do better,
Yeah. So, like, another good example of that was your buddy Bo showing up. I've never met him before,
Yeah,
but
he's freaking getting there, man. Like, he's writing some stout songs.
Yeah.
Like, not that he wasn't there before, but like he played a couple songs I haven't heard because I haven't seen him for probably a year and a half, something like that. But yeah, man, well done, Bo, if you're listening.
yeah, definitely. I mean, that was really good. When he got done playing a few songs, I was like, "Do you write all those?" And he's like, "Yep." And I was like, "Are you serious?" Like, I was just like, "Dude, that's cool." And he was like, "What?" And it took him back, a second. Like, "What? You like it?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah. Hello."
Especially since he's definitely got that. Well, we all do to an extent. I think I'm probably a little more folk. Jeremy's a little more rock, but like that whole storytelling,
Yeah.
like Tyler Childers' side of life thing, like going on right now. He's definitely fallen into that, and you really don't have to find a niche market for that anymore. I heard some old man going down. I woke up Sunday in my camper because I played a couple shows Saturday in Iowa Falls. Stayed the night. Woke up, walked to get a coffee, and I hear Tyler Childers coming from like a Harley behind me. I'm like, oh, right on. I'm gonna listen to a little music on my walk. And he goes by me, and here's this just like old man, on a big old rich dresser, and he's just blaring Tyler Childers. I was like, I know that isn't on a radio station, so good on you, man.
Yeah.
So our kind of music is really, it's pretty acceptable around here, it seems.
And I think that's one of the things that draws me to it, because I'm not like too much of a folk or country fan, but the storyteller aspect of it always got me. Like, some songs that tell great stories always get burned in my head, and it's weird because I'll be like, I don't remember how the song goes, and I don't remember the chorus or the words, but I remember a song about this happening.
Yeah, no doubt.
And
like, they painted the picture. Yeah.
They painted a picture so well that I know what the story was about the song, and I mean, there's tons of those, and I think that storyteller aspect is something a lot of people enjoy. You and I were out throwing some disc golf not too long ago, and I was like, let's listen to some Iron Maiden. And you're not like someone that's just like, yeah, throw on some metal. So I just I put it on, but like while it's playing, I'm just like kind of explaining some of the songs because they're...
Oh, yeah, I had no idea that they were so like, I'm going to tell you a story. If you can listen to the operatic, and the 10-minute solos and keep the storyline going, like, it's a pretty unique tale they tell.
Yeah, a lot of their songs are like, well, this song is about, the battle of this, or this song is about, a tail gunner in this war, and this song is about, this book that I read, and those are some of the coolest things that happen, like, as far as songwriting, giving somebody the ability to like talk about something that had happened in their life, and that's one of the reasons I think I enjoy so many of your songs, because like things will happen in your life, good, bad, or otherwise, and you'll just be like, I'm gonna write a song about it, and you do, and it's like, well, that's now encapsulated forever,
Yeah, it's cleansing, like you have a bad day and you tell the world about it, like you are forced to confront yourself,
Ooh, yeah, totally.
So as long as you're not afraid to tell the world exactly how you feel, well, not exactly, like we were talking earlier about all the jerks on the interweb.
Yeah, you gotta have some tact.
Yeah, like, if you don't have anything nice to say, just tell it to someone who's not going to repeat it. So,
yeah, no kidding. Don't say it out loud.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Keep that
I mean,
shit to yourself.
and that's like one of the coolest things I think about, going to these jam nights and things like that, is I get to hear all these different songs. A lot of them, ironically, a lot of the songs are like originals though. Like, and that's one of the coolest things, is you get to hear people's original tunes. And
Yeah.
I mean, you write a lot of your stuff by yourself with just an acoustic guitar, and that's what you have in mind.
Yep, and I don't give instruction to my band at all. Like, my brother's just, hey, this is a song I wrote, and Brad's like, okay, what key? And, Jordan's the same way, like, just kind of strum it, let me know how it goes, and Caleb will find the beat because he's just a mastermind, and all of a sudden that song becomes its own entity. Like, I write the words and chords, and then they just tell me how to play it, basically.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest parts about jam nights too, because people like you can walk up there and it's just like, well, I wrote this on an acoustic guitar. Whatever you want to add, go for it, and you just kind of like let people do it. And
just feel it out. Like, okay, that solo's just long enough now. I need to keep their attention, and I'll word it.
Yep. Yeah. Or like if people like you and Jeremy or whoever else, if you see somebody's like really feeling it on a solo, it's just like, keep going, instead of just like, this is normally where I would end the solo if it was a song, but it's just like, no, I'm going around again, and you just keep going around.
I love that that's been caught on tape or whatever, been recorded a couple of times on our live shows that Brad's got. Where, oh yeah, I am gonna do a hard press of the Live from Everywhere album pretty
cool.
soon. Yeah, I finally working again, so I got some money in my pocket, and it's time to just pull the trigger. So I'm gonna get the artwork done, and then just start making some hard copies so I can sell them at shows or mail them off to people who want them, because I get asked that hopefully 2 or 3 times a show, like, where's your CD? And
it's tough to, when people want a CD, to be like, it's digital, you got to go to this website and download it.
Yeah, and I hope you take the time, rather than, you have $10 in your hand, I have a CD, I should trade you.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so much easier when you have something physical, especially if that's what people want, is something
and
physical.
then they'll get to see another side of it too. Like, I used to be a tattoo artist, so I don't want my art to be like, kind of hacky or plain. Like, I definitely want it to be as storytelling as my songs. So
yeah,
I got to put some thought into it, but do it quick enough that I can do this before I blow all my money.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one of those cool things too, is like Brad is like he's so good with like digital sound and all this stuff like that, recording things, altering them, making things sound the best way they can. It's Brad just kind of hides, behind the scenes everywhere, and
he's just like the mad scientist. He just doesn't let you know.
Yeah, he's it's a secret weapon that he has that he doesn't ever bust out, but he always has it out. And nobody knows he's doing it.
Yep.
And that's that's one of those really cool things, because he records all your guys' shows. So somewhere out there's recordings of, like, I would say the majority of the shows you guys have played.
Oh God, yeah. Like, I just bought 2 more of those little zip drives or whatever they're called that hold a whole bunch of information.
Yeah.
Because we filled up Brad's. So.
Oh yeah, so you got to get more of those little flash sticks or whatever they are. Yep, the
so
USBs.
We're gonna start recording more of, like, when it's just him and I. We go by Clint Riedel and The Truth. So we're gonna start recording more of those, because no sense in it. I play a whole lot of songs, so some of my songs don't make it onto the Rambler album and don't even make it onto my solo album. So why not put it on a Clint Riedel and The Truth album?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's another one of those things. Like, just because we don't have like a hard copy of this recorded live on an album doesn't mean you can't release a live version of it somewhere else. I mean, that's been done by other bands. It's not like it's a faux pas you're doing or anything.
No, it's just honestly convenience and exposure. You never expect to make any money off of it. Like, I got a bazillion plays on Spotify. Probably amounts to like $8.50 or something.
Yeah.
And then, but you sell a couple albums on Amazon, and that helps. So, oh God, but it's nothing like the hard copy, And even if you're just trying to win people over, like, just giving them out, because at the end of the day, it costs you $3 a CD or whatever to produce. So
yeah, you're spending money on promotion that way, but yeah.
And that's only thanks to Brad, of course, because he did all the recording and stuff. I didn't have to, like, go to Juniors or Forte or something and, pay for my time and all that. Like, Brad's just a stand-up cat, so.
That's one of the other cool things, though, is you will be able to give someone, like, a live representation of what it would sound like with you and a full band, or you and just Brad, or,
definitely. We made some demo CDs. I went up to Minnesota and bar hopped, basically, and just started handing out demos, and it was just like examples of me all alone. Like, if you want to hire me, like, I'll travel, no problem. And sometimes everyone in my band can't make it, but here's an example of what we sound like as a full band. And so I need to break it down too, because Brad and I are pulling a lot of shows just duo, because with that COVID, like, the bars want to make some money, and it's really hard to do that when you're paying a band $800, but you can still pull off some cash if you're only charging $400 to this place. They're like, okay,
Yeah, then you just go up solo or something like that. And, I mean, that's probably got to be something that's changed before and after. That was like one of the first things you noticed was, like, you're in a bind and you need to play shows, but the bar is also in a bind because they haven't made money for like a month or 2 or 3. So they're like, everyone's kind of stuck in this weird spot, and you don't want to undersell yourself, but you also don't want to miss out on the opportunity to play. So you're in this weird spot where it's like, do I change my rates, or do I leave them the same, or are you trying to do shows with smaller bands now because it costs less? And like, there's got to be some goofy stuff you're thinking about like that had never really crossed your mind beforehand.
Oh yeah, definitely. Before it was just like venue size, like we won't even be able to fit 4 people in here, stuff like that comes to mind. And then if you can't fit 4 people in there, they obviously can't afford them anyway, so it's not an issue. But now it's like some of these places didn't make it. Like the barn up in Okoboji, I called him when this all rolled around again, and Crazy Bob up there, he's like, hey, really good to hear from you, blah, 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 what you up to? I'm like, oh, just fishing for gigs. He's like, that's cute. Yeah, the lease on this is like $10,000 a month, and I was shut down for 3 months, and then it was the winter season before that in Okoboji. He's like, sorry, man, I'm not open anymore. I was like,
oh, that's rough.
Yeah, so some of these places that you think were untouchable, like up,
Yeah, in Okoboji of all places.
Yeah,
you'd think almost anywhere in Okoboji would do fine.
Yeah, this place was beautiful too up there. I hope it reopens. I wish him the best of luck. He's got the best barbecue up there. That's what he's famous for. Crazy Bob's Barbecue. A little plug.
Nice. I mean, unfortunately, it's not there anymore, but
I never got one of those T-shirts. Now I think about it.
Oh, that's rough. That's rough.
And it was amazing because it was just his face. Like it was
cool.
Crazy Bob's Barbecue.
That's awesome. That's something else cool though. Like you've played a lot of shows all over the place. You've probably like met and played at a lot of.
My wardrobe is like bar shirts. I'm wearing a Co-op Bar and Grill tank top right now.
that's pretty awesome. That's something that like as a musician that goes places, that's where you can like. You'd be like, I've played here, I've played here, I've played here, I've played here. That's like almost like your ticket stub for being there,
Oh, totally. It's like that music memorabilia. Just, I look at that T-shirt and I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that night. My car didn't start the next day.
Rough.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, man. And that's one of the cool things about, me going to jam nights is it gives me a taste of like interacting with some of you people, because I primarily play like punk music or like rock. I don't know what you want to call it. We say punk as a generality, but it's
harder.
It's harder. Antisocial rock music was one of our favorite genre titles. It's not an actual genre, but if it was
social distancing punk,
that's what we would be. But like I played in a metal band too for a while, and we played a lot more like power metal type stuff and slightly progressive-ish metal a little bit. And I don't get the chance to play like blues and clown around with some of you guys. They get to do stuff like this on a regular basis, but this gives me like a taste of it, and that's one of the things I think I'm so thankful for is like in the tiny town of Barnum, Iowa, there's actually a really awesome bar that has a jam night once a week.
No doubt, and it's got to be a big shout out to the Dillons, because that family, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be mayor of this joint pretty soon.
What?
Yeah. So last mayor election, like, I was just down at the bar, and Paula, Dean's wife, was like, "Hey everybody, let's write in Clint for mayor tomorrow." And they're like, "Yeah, let's do that. That sounds like a great idea." So I wake up the next day, and Ashton, bar manager, his dad owns the bar here, Dylan, he calls me and he's like, "Hey man, you're the mayor. You won. You had 13 votes." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you're in charge, man." I was like, "You're kidding me." He's like, "Nope." So I was so proud. Like, I called my sisters and stuff. I was like, you're never gonna believe this. I am the mayor of Barnum." And they're like, "That's insanity. What are you gonna do?" And I'm like, "Whatever Eric Dillon tells me to." And they're like, "Okay, that checks out." So he lets it go for like 3 days. I'm just like telling everybody I know, like, you can address me as Mayor Riedel right now. So watch how you talk. And so, just being a jerk about life.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, then he let me in on it. I only got 9 votes.
Oh, man.
The winner got 12. So,
man.
I didn't even run, and they just thought of it like 8 hours before voting, and I got 9 votes. So
you're not the mayor, but
not right now,
but almost.
I'm gonna like make one flyer and put it at the bar, and that'll be my whole campaign.
It'll probably work.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, there's nothing else to see around here.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's what's really cool about having this bar here is like I never really thought about like myself as too much of a barfly in my like recent adult years, but like I can come here and hang out, have sodas, get food.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's like one of the best things. Like, I got burgers and fries and the whole 9 yards. I'm not trying to plug the junkyard too much here,
no,
but like,
but yeah, they pay my rent, man. I love them.
Yeah, and they host like one one of my favorite jam nights that there is to go to. It's one of the only ones that's around the area that's consistently being run. But like I said, I've said before, there's so many fun people show up. Like Bo showed up, and I didn't even know who he was, and he played amazing. And it was like, dude, this is really cool. I never would have got the chance to see this.
It is just like
anywhere else.
Well, and Jeremy moved into town like since this whole COVID stuff, and so we've that's why we had so many of our little virtual concerts together, because he's just down the road. So for him to show up at Barnum now is just a given. Like, hey, this is where all us like-minded people are, and it reminds me so much of like just the East Nashville scene, to where like everybody meets up at a house and starts talking about their songs and throw them out there, see what happens. See, because we're all songwriters. So when we meet up on Tuesday, it's like, got anything new? Well, yeah, kind of this. All right, go for it. And then, there's already additive to it, and you can see the direction your songs are going just by the people you're hanging out with.
Yeah, I mean, on any given random, jam night, you can find that like, oh, this song might actually sound better if we do this instead, or blah, 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 because whoever else might take it a different direction,
Definitely, yeah.
And that's what's really cool. Also, this made me think. Also, speaking of like Bo, he was playing in like down-tuned acoustic, and then he would like throw a capo on. So when we were trying to figure out what key he was in, it was just like,
oh yeah, he did not make it easy on the world. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a half step down. And then so like every time I'd go up to play with him, or my buddy would play with him, it was just like, oh geez, this is pretty nuts, like
get ready to do math.
Yeah, exactly. You got to sit there and think about it. It's like he's like, I swear it's here. I'm like, oh, he's down tuned. Go down a fret. And he's like, oh yeah, that's right.
And then the song just comes alive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so fun. I mean, that's also one of the other fun things about going to jam nights is sometimes you go up there with somebody like, what key are you playing? And they're like, I don't know. These are the chords. And you're like, all right, now I have to actually like test my knowledge. Here we go.
And that's definitely me. Like, I don't know, I'm capoed on 9, making a C shape. What do you think?
Yeah, and that's another one. Like Brad being bassist. Bassists are always naturally pretty good at this, but they're just like, that's a this.
Yeah, definitely.
Like just like, instantaneously know.
Okay, here we go. Yep, it's a F.
Yep. Yeah. So and that's one of the things I like about hanging out around different musicians is watching their capabilities and just being like, oh, this isn't impossible. This is a thing that's doable. And that's also something I think about with like music, where like I said, sometimes you go up there and you're like, I've never met this person, this is their song, I've never heard it, never played it, and you get to try to figure it out on the fly,
Yep. Hold on and go.
Yep. And that's something that always made me so nervous the first few times I did it, but I got to thank, honestly, like you and Jeremy were the two people that kind of pressured me into it. I was here at a jam night just watching you guys, and Jeremy was just like walks over and hands the guitar to me. He's like, I'm done for a little bit. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, you get up there. And I was like, what? And like,
oh, yeah, man. Then we were the house band at Patty's that one jam session.
Yeah,
you,
man.
Me, Brad, and DJ from the Tank Anthony band.
Oh, yeah, man. That was really fun. And I mean,
I forgot, that was, God, who did we have drumming? I can't remember. I don't think it was Caleb, but
it might have been Scott Dahl.
Oh, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was another one where it was just like, I don't know what's going on here, and you were just like, yeah, just have fun, and like Brad just leans over, he's like, yeah, just do a little bit of this, and then hit the solo, and it was just like, oh, okay, and that was like the fun part about having Brad up on stage is he's always willing to help as well, at jam nights, because. And like I said, that's one of the best parts about coming to the jam nights here is you don't have to be like prolific. You don't have to be like
God, no. I'm always the worst musician up there. That's how it works out. I'm used to it.
That's how I feel though too. You go up there and you're like, oh geez, some of these guys are so awesome. But like that's one of the best parts is like one of my friends does not go to jam nights, Dan, but it was just like, you know how to do this, Dan. Like, let's just go up there and try it live,
Dude, he killed it. Like,
yeah,
I just kept choosing some songs that, like, I knew he would get around and enjoy playing, just listening to him noodle around. I was like, okay, he'll really dig this. Like, bury that body in the deep, cold ground.
Yep.
He's like, yup.
Yep. So. Yeah, and I mean, that's, like, some of the fun part is, like, you also, like, knowing the situation. We're like, this isn't something he does all the time. Let's give him something with a lot of breathing room.
Yeah, definitely.
So you do, and it ends up being something really fun, and like I said, Dan's like just as capable as I am of doing all this stuff. He just doesn't have, I don't know if he doesn't know where to go, but it was just like, I'm taking you with, let's do this, and it was really fun to see him, get out of his element and try and figure all that stuff out on his own and play. And that's,
I'm glad he got up there, man.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I always thought about jam nights was like, do I fit in here? Should I get up there? Is it going to lower the bar or whatever? But after a while, you're like, it doesn't matter. Everyone's up there to have fun. It always comes back to that. And I I always have to retell myself that. And
I get nervous like that when I go to Byron's, to be completely honest. When it's singer-songwriter night, I'm cool because, I'm just up there doing my thing, and that's just like any other room, but even more gracious because it's Byron's, for God's sake.
yeah, it's really cool to be up there.
Yeah, it's an honor, and it's just everyone is. It's like the Junkyard. Everyone is, well, it's even more music friendly than the Junkyard, simply because like it's Byron's.
It's Byron's. Yeah,
you can't beat that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get nervous on like when you get together and do some jam nights up there, because like these guys are a little older, been playing since they were young, and are prolific. Like just they keep learning, they keep going. Just they haven't stopped, they haven't settled. They're amazing musicians, and
Yeah.
they're like, get up here and play with us, and I'm like, it's C, G, and D. Hold on,
Yeah,
and it's just like, oh God, I am not impressing these people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's Byron, so they're like, yeah, man, that's real good, kid. You know?
Yeah, I mean that was like actually a place I've been to a couple jam nights at Byron's, and I've yet to play just because of like the sheer nerves of getting up there with like so many people
It's
that have
a
been playing
real thing,
so
yeah.
long, and it's I regret not going up there and playing, but at the same rate, like sometimes up there things are more structured as far as a jam goes, where they might have. I've been up there on some nights where they have things timed out on like connected iPads. It's like, this is how the song is going. These are where the words are supposed to be sung.
Yep.
Like you have this many bars of solo or whatever, And I mean, they can do it on the fly just as well as anybody, but like they like to structure it out so it at least comes to an end correctly, and all the switches are perfect and
a
things.
beginning, a middle, and an end is kind of nice, and the formula of most songs, but it doesn't always work out that way.
No, yeah. And that was like one of the things that made me nervous, was it was just a little bit different formula of what was going on. I was like, I don't know. I don't want to wreck anything up here.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to sit back and watch today, And Byron's like, get up there. I know you play. And it's like, I don't know. Like,
what's this D with a little 7 by it? I'm lost.
Yeah.
And that's the God's honest truth. I don't know where to put my fingers when I see that, so I just play a D.
It'll work. Honestly, it will. But yeah, I mean, that's another thing though too, is like you got to sit and think like, you're such a good songwriter doing all the things you do, and like you just admitted, like you don't off the top of your head, like what's a D7, like,
yeah,
and
God,
it's
no.
and I mean, it's just as simple to show you, but it's like, how's it applicable? Where would it fit in one of my songs? And you start to run into all these different things, but just being able to utilize what you know and seeing what you can pull off with it is one of the coolest things ever, because you may not know, an A minor 7 and 9,
no
but
doubt.
it's like, but you can still throw out some really cool stuff just using like generally basic chords and little bits of like trilling notes around here and there,
And I honestly love the approach that John Prine took to all this, and I discovered him way too late. Like I had struggled, well, not really struggled writing songs. For some reason, that was easy. I guess it's because I started out a poet. But as far as like throwing chords behind words, that's difficult. So I just keep reusing the same old chords, moving the capo around or changing my finger picking and writing the songs. I just haven't felt the urge to learn all the hammer-ons and all that fun stuff yet, because I'm still just backbone a storyteller.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other cool thing, though, is like you can just take that approach, drag it to a jam night, and it's like, there, somebody else do all the other stuff, and boom, it's all done. It's all
make
done
this
for you.
sound good for me, fellas.
Well, it's not as it sounds
no,
good.
it's the
but
truth. Like
no.
when I get together with the band, I'm like, God damn it, you bring these songs alive. Thank you. Like they sound great, but when you're sitting at home and you're like, this is a good song. I wrote a good song, and you hear it in your mind, and that's all you hear, and then you bring it out, and 3 of your best friends in the world just like pump air into that thing. It's like, whoa, look at that take off.
Yeah, I mean, I oftentimes think about that with like, the band I'm in, Three Finger Betty, because John writes the majority of everything. I'll call him like 99.9% song, writer for like the whole thing. The only
Fair.
thing is he's not playing our stuff and telling us what to play, but we're still using everything he's doing, words and melody and everything, to make what we're making. So 99.9% songwriter, 100% maybe, but it's one of those things where it's like he's just sitting there and like, this is the way I think it should go, but it's like, oh, I get the ability to add like little fills where he can't or doesn't, or like while he's singing, or just do little bits of harmonizing with him here and there, and it's just enough to like add depth to the song where it's like, oh, oh yeah, this is taking off to somewhere just a little bit different. You
Oh
know?
yeah, and it pays off for everybody. I imagine all those endorphins come like to everyone. Like Caleb's on the drums, just like feels good when everything connects like that. Like he's getting as much like pleasure out of it as I am watching this thing grow.
Yeah. That's the other thing, drummers, man, like just adding drums to anything like seems to make everything explode in a different sense because you can only have so much rhythm, that you can put out there by
there's
yourself.
the emphasis is lost.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's God, that's another one of those crazy things about just like bringing a song to a whole entire band or to new musicians or just allowing somebody else to put their spin on it. And that's something that like I've seen here a little bit at the jam nights, which is one of the funnest things is to be like, Jeremy Ober's playing somebody else's song, or like you said, I'll play a Jeremy Ober song,
Yeah,
or
no doubt.
it's just things like that have always made me smile because it's like, oh, this isn't your song, this is his song, and then you start to like really gain an appreciation, and not only that, but you start to see how much some of the musicians around here appreciate one another.
Yeah, no doubt. I hope Jordan and Caleb play some of my songs at the Day Drinkers show because
Oh, yeah.
they've got to know the words by now. We played it a million times as the Ramblers, so it's like break it out, boys. Imitation is flattery.
Yeah, and that's one other thing I think is like I'm shy about it. I'd love to ask people for their music stuff. Like I've done it with you a few times just to like play some of the songs of yours that I enjoy where it's like, hey, do you have this in your songbook? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to snap a picture of, your songbook here and I'm going to take it home and play it and see what happens,
Yeah, fiddle around.
Yeah, just for something to do. And, I'm not out there to steal it. I haven't ever played anybody else's.
No, it's not like we're out here making real money,
No.
man. This is all for love and soup.
Yeah. God, that's fun. But, I think about, how much fun it would be to like cover other people's stuff. And I actually talked about this a little bit in last week's podcast with Cheyenne Voss, but she plays punk music down in Des Moines and she's trying her damnedest and to get everyone to try to do something kind of like that, like let's make a compilation album or like a cover album
like
or
a song share,
yeah,
or song
or like,
swap album,
or like you find one of my songs, I'll find one of yours, let's cover each other's songs.
Dude,
and then,
tell her I'm in. Yeah,
mean,
that sounds fun.
it does sound tons of fun.
I'll cover a punk song, you betcha.
Yeah, man. And I think about that kind of stuff because it's like that would be good because even if you genre swap, it would be tons of fun, and
Yeah, because she would never imagine the song coming out the way it's gonna if I take over, and I would never imagine my song going the way if she took over.
Yeah.
That would be a blast.
yeah, and and that's the thing. I just think that needs to happen a little bit more, and that's one of the coolest things about this area here is just, like I said, just hearing you just covered a Jordan Reuter song. Like that's
And think of
wild.
the exposure when she's like, at all our shows or whoever's at all their shows or I am, and it's just like, this song was written by blah, blah, blah. We did this. Check them out. That's that many more ears that wouldn't have heard your name before. So
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing I think about covering songs. Sometimes you can cover a song and it's like, this isn't exactly how they cover it, but like once the words come out, you're like, oh no, this is the song.
Yep, definitely.
It's just a little bit different. It's this guy's flavor, like that band took it a slightly different direction,
Yeah,
and-
that's the only way we cover songs generally. Like we'll go from Bruce Springsteen into Long Black Veil by Johnny Cash, and it's all just like done in a Bob Dylan finger picking style, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, you just smush it all together. Like here you go.
Yep.
This is what you
Like,
get.
This is gonna work out wonderfully. They're both sad songs.
Yeah, and I mean, like now that I've played East Side Window, I kind of want to like cover it, and now that I've played it, I've sat at home and dabbled around with like how I would play it if I played it a slightly bit differently,
Sure.
And so like I dabble around with that. The only hardest part I think with a lot of songs is lyrics. It's tough to be like, do you have a lyric sheet for this, or like are the lyrics available for this somewhere, or I can't really hear it on the recording, and I don't want to just like mumble stuff out that I think are the actual words,
Yep.
And I think that's like a tough, humbling thing to ask someone. Like,
When I do that with Jeremy, I just say child. And, and we invented a drinking game with that too. Every time Jeremy Ober, for any of you that ever go to a Jeremy Ober show, anytime he says child, you have to take a drink. And I dare you to make it through the whole show.
That's funny. I mean, that's the other thing is like I've realized that a lot of you guys pal around with one another and have
Oh, God, yeah.
have these little inside jokes with one another, and none of it's meant to be like offensive or hurtful, but it's just like you guys are just goofing off, like, yeah, this is your style, and some people's styles end up becoming, almost a caricature if you can like mimic it,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he's got a pretty good Clint Riedel. It sounds like Mickey Mouse, but I think it's spot on.
Oh man, and that's the other. Like, I love knowing that I live in, I live in northern Iowa, and I love being able to like access the musical scene around here. Like it doesn't really matter how far you go, you can kind of have some interaction with somebody. It's weird that you can tie the bands together. Like the drummer in Blue Ribbon Ramblers is also the drummer in Brutal Republic.
Yep. And the Ashburys and the Day Drinkers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
God.
So like if you sit and think about that, and then it's just like, well, how many bands do all those bands touch? Like, well, Jeremy Ober is also in Lone Tree Revival.
Oh God, yeah. And there's like 7 members in that one.
Yep.
So.
And he teaches guitar lessons at Chris Carr's music shop.
Yep.
And Chris Carr is in the Chris Carr band, and I've played shows with Jeff Blummel before on the drums for me. And it's
like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever, the 7 degrees of separation. So yeah, you're gonna find somebody in Fort Dodge that has somehow played music with somebody. If you just start with one of us.
Yeah, and I love doing that, being able to just slowly tie everything together and just being like, oh yeah, this is how everything fits.
Like we can get to Jake Merritt in probably 4 steps.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, that'd be such a fun game to play. Oh,
Time to get drunk and start. Yep.
And I mean, I'm sure there's other scenes that can do that too, like the Des Moines, metal scene. I'm sure would be pretty good, at doing that, because they had handfuls of bands that were, made it 4 or 5 years and then liquidated, and then a new band formed out of some of the, former members of other bands and things like that. So I'm sure they have the ability to do that in other scenes, but it's so fun up here because everybody seems to be, for the most part, pretty buddy with everybody else.
Yeah, definitely. It's supportive up here. It's a family. There's a little, there's always going to be animosity. Like, I wish I had the voice of God, like Jeremy Ober, but since I don't, I'm going to rely on my talking skills.
Dude, the amount of people up here I hear that are just like, I wish I was a better singer, and I'm just sitting here like, dude, that's so offensive to hear. Like 9 of you guys who are good singers all be like, I wish I was better at singing. Like, dude, I can't even sing at all. Like, leave me alone.
Brute force and ignorance. That's the only thing I can do. Get through it.
That's why I do blues songs, man. It's like, well, the range is about 6 notes tops, and
there's gonna be a lot of room for guitar.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh man. So it's kind of cool to hear that, like, things went from a spot where like there were shows all the time and then absolutely nothing, and then I talked to you, before everything shut down, and we got kind of like another look into what was going on. But then as soon as everything shut down, I sat down over here and talked with you and Jesse on a podcast, Jesse Wilson, and kind of got like your take on what all was going down. And you were playing a lot of those internet shows, and now everything's starting back up. Jam nights are heating up. The last one I went to up here in Barnum was
absolute riot.
One of the funnest I've ever been to. There were so many people up there. Nobody was, there was never nobody playing. That's what it was. Some jam nights you go to and it almost feels like an obligation by the end of the night. Like, man, nobody's playing, I guess I'll go up and play some leads, and then your heart's just not in it. But there was always musicians up there just ramming stuff out there. I mean, you'd hear like...
Yeah, nobody was really chomping at the bit, but everybody was willing and ready.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what it was. You didn't have to kick anyone off stage.
Nope.
But at the same time, like, everyone was ready to go on stage. So it was tons of fun. I got to see new people play music, Got to go up there with Scott Kirkhart a little bit, and it's always fun to see him, and it's just kind of cool that, like I said,
that Cody kid made it in from MGCC,
yeah, playing drums,
yeah,
that was another one. It's just like, dude, we need drummers,
and then out of the woodwork, here's a drummer.
Yeah,
that was nice.
And that was another one. He was just like, as soon as everyone was just like, all right, we're done, and everybody would put all the stuff down, and it's like, oh, it looks like we're going to take a 10-minute break or something. Nobody's going to play. And he'd just be sitting there like looking around like, everybody, you leaving? And somebody like, oh, I'll play a song, and he'd just be like, good, there you go. And he was helping coax everybody to play more songs.
Yeah, because it's nice to have a drummer on hand, like people take advantage of that. Like, okay, I'm going to play some hard shit now.
Yep.
Get ready.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse even got up there and played the electric. Heck, you played the electric for a while?
I was waiting for someone to scream Judas.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. Like that was the other fun thing was, bringing up some gear and just being like, well, here's my guitar and my amp, and I set everything for one tone, use the volume knob the best you can, and go for it, And
I had a fucking blast. That was, honestly, I don't play the electric at all. So it feels like driving not even someone else's car, like somebody else's boat.
Yeah.
And I've never sailed. So
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it was really good. It was tons of fun, and that's one of the things I like about it up there. It's like everyone gets a little bit out of their element. Everybody tries thing. Heck, I've been here one night. There was a violin player here. I've been here when there were flute
Rochelle,
players.
yeah.
You know, I've been here when there's you name it. Like everybody gets up there with whatever they want to do and add to it, as long as you can kind of figure out what key music's in and go with it. You know.
Yeah, I've had a guy up here playing the wash tub, like the
cool.
stand-up bass, the one-string bass where you just bend the rod or whatever. And then Dan from Manson, he plays the wash tub bass like drum while he's, using the washboard as the percussion, and it's just everything gets nutty. You never know what you're gonna see.
That's cool. So, it's kind of cool to see everything kind of come back around full circle. You got shows, jam nights are popping off here. It's tons of fun. It's a great environment. If you guys want to come watch a jam night or be part of one, or if you're a musician and you just want to see what they're all about, stop up. I almost guarantee you'll get coaxed into playing something if you admit that you play an instrument.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I blame Brad Hofink for that, because for a while nobody would ever play guitar, and then Brad just started bringing a guitar and an amp and plugging it in, leaving it on stage. And he'd just be like, it's sitting right there. It's plugged in. You just have to pick it up and turn the volume knob. And it's like,
that sounds easy enough. And it's a beautiful tube amp with this G&L. I guess I can.
I guess. Dang it. Okay. You twisted my arm enough, and God, it's just so fun. And I'm really thankful to have that atmosphere up here, And as I don't want to get mushy because we were getting close to the end here, but it's so weird that you and I met because I did this podcast, and I never would have thought I would have made.
Yeah, man, you're doing good things for a lot of freaking people. Like Jesse's exposure just went through the roof.
Yeah, he deserves it too, man. He's doing stuff that no one else is doing too.
Yeah, he's on the grind. Honestly, he's like making beats, and he wants to record so bad. But with this COVID stuff, it's getting a little more difficult to do anything. Like just look at a Walmart shelf and know that the world is shut down for a minute.
Yeah. I mean, that's also one of the weird benefits of technology. Not everyone's got it at their disposal, but I remember, I think Alejandro Trevino did a bass line for some of his stuff and just recorded it and sent it to him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, chances are he's smart enough for that.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the cool part about technology is you can just sit at your house and be like, oh, here's the bass line, and then just send it back to them, and
enjoy.
They plug it in and away you go, So, I mean, that's one of those fun things is, I didn't know a lot of these people until I did the podcast, and it's, you're one of the better friends I've met because of the podcast.
Yeah, man, we disc golf and everything.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's cool to see that everything's kind of going, I don't want to say better, but everything's kind of somewhat back to a little bit more normal for you. Shows picking up.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wouldn't have been able to make those hard copies if they go back to 50% capacity or something, where bar owners are we're not making any money, we can't afford to pay you. It's
oh gosh, yeah, and that's the rough thing. It's that double-edged sword, because you can't just go in there and try and strong arm a bar. You guys, you got to meet in the middle somewhere and have a business understanding. And
no doubt. And to be honest, it'll just be how I started when I broke out of the gate, saying I'm just gonna play music and that's my job. And I was charging $50 for an hour. So I'll start doing 2-hour shows for $100 solo just to keep eating.
So. Yeah, I mean that's a rough one too, because then where do you cut the people off? So you got to make these.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want anyone to get used to that, and you don't want to undersell anybody. I don't remember who I was talking to, but when I first started out and I told them my rates and everything, they were like, man, you're going to have to pick up your rates pretty soon. And I'm like, well, it's only 2-hour set. It's not like I'm, bringing a big light and smoke show or anything. And they're like, yeah, but us other musicians out here trying to get $500 for 2 hours, you're making it hard for us to get hired. I'm like, oh, sorry about that. Well, I got to eat. My bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's the toughest part about it, too, because you don't want to, undersell yourself or other musicians, but you also don't want to, I don't know. It's the price ranges that bands get around here are wild though too, because depending on how many members, how far everyone has to drive, how big the production is.
Yeah, no doubt. It takes 2 hours to set up.
How good the sound is, whether or not they have a dedicated sound person with them.
Exactly.
I mean, you can go down the line and everyone has justifiable rates. I've heard a lot of different bands' rates, and it's dude, for what they're charging, it's totally kosher. I'd pay that to watch these guys, just to have them at my bar.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so, it's tough to find. I've always found that it's tough to find that happy spot where you should charge whatever. Because, let me put it this way. I'm in a punk band. We play a lot of shows in Des Moines, And at a lot of the bars, there's not always the greatest payouts. It's just the way it works when there's
Sure, play for the door and
dozens and dozens of bars, dozens upon dozens upon dozens of hundreds of bands of all different varieties, playing everywhere across town. And, so you just have to kind of take what you can get. But if we travel, and we bring all our own PA and lights and things like that, we found that we can actually like charge an amount that's justifiable to get everyone to go places.
You bet.
And the weird part is it's on the low end compared to most of the bands around here, but the difference is we're playing like hard rock and it's like really high energy all the time, so it's tough to just like...
It's a niche, yeah. You got to find the people that are willing to endure like 2 hours of let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of just something that's a little bit more easy listening, or like something you can like eat a pizza to at a bar.
You're not going to flirt with a girl at one of your
no,
shows.
Probably not.
Probably
not.
Be like, what'd you say? Yeah. I said your hair looks nice.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be rough going. That's for sure. But that's like, that's one of the things you just got to find out where you fit, in what places you fit that way. Because like you said, capacity sometimes plays a role in this stuff.
Real
it's like,
thing, yeah.
How many people can you actually put in here? I can't charge you $1 gazillion because it's...
Yep, and like we're playing in Waterloo this Saturday, and it's like, okay, that's borderline perfect, so they're happy with the wage that we charged, and we're happy with the wage that we get to drive the 2 hours to Waterloo, set up a show, haul ass. Oh, and it's really steep stairs, by the way.
Jeez.
The venue is called The Loft.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're walking gear upstairs.
Oof, that's rough.
Yep. I mean, I don't mind it. They pay you to drive. The playing is fun. So as long as the drive is paid for, like, I'll go there.
Yeah, I mean, that's something else you got to consider is the travel, I mean, we're a punk band from Des Moines, Iowa for the most part, and if anybody wants to travel anywhere, it's...
Yeah, you're going to Kansas City, or
yeah. It's like, oh well, let's play in Iowa City. Even that's at least an hour from Des Moines. For me, it's like 3-hour drive.
Sure,
so it's
you
like
get down there, God.
So it's like we're gonna have to charge a decent amount because I need to make this back in gas. This isn't just a regular show. Where everybody just scoots across town and plays.
Like when they give you $20, they're like, we didn't have much of a turnout. It's like, that buys my cigarettes and a hot dog out of here.
Yeah, I mean, there's been shows like that before. I mean. It's tough, but who was I talking to? And we were talking about how it's just the different aspects of the different bands. I think it was Mike Schulte from the Pork Tornadoes, but he was just like, yeah, I mean, everyone just takes this different business approach, and it's whatever business approach fits the situation the best. Like a lot of the bands that play like originals and high energy rock music, they usually end up reinvesting things into like the recording and stuff like that. Whereas up here, it's like you guys can increase your production or buy a new sound system or new gear, and then you guys' show improves. So everybody has something that's improving what they're doing.
Oh yeah, and it's step by step. Like we're investing as a band per se, but it's really just Brad like spending a lot of money. Like we've got the best mains around, like the speakers, and he and I both pitched in on his mixer and stuff like that. Like we're always upgrading gear. Seems like he is a little more often than the rest of us, but our sound has improved so much simply like, and then your confidence just picks up with it because it's like, wow, that was us. All right.
Yeah.
Let's do that again.
Dude, that's the other cool thing. I love that about music too. Everybody ups their game depending on who they're around, and for the most part, it's always an enjoyable experience to play music in a band, jam night, by yourself. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, therapy.
Yeah, man. Well, dude, I mean, we've covered over an hour, so it's pretty perfect. Thanks for joining me this week again, and best of luck on all your shows. And check out his music video if you haven't seen it. It's a music video for "Hey There, Ma." It's on Clint Riedel Music Facebook.
Yeah, be sure to check out my solo album, Scalehouse Sessions, on Amazon and whatnot. And yeah, hopefully, wish me luck. I'm gonna make a hard copy of Live from Everywhere, Blue Ribbon Ramblers.
You gonna put that out digitally? You think too?
Not at first. I don't know. It might be just as easy. Yeah. Honestly, because that is the way of the world anymore. Like,
yeah. So, all right. Yeah, man, check that out. It's going to be coming out soon here probably, and digitally or not. Otherwise, catch Clint live at a jam night or in your town because he's probably been to your town or he's coming close by. So check it out. Thanks, Clint. I appreciate it.
You bet, man.
Oh, yeah, it's good to sit down and talk with my buddy Clint again. And, we got a little sentimental in there. I met him pretty much just from doing the podcast, and he's become one of my better friends over the last year or so, just kind of somebody to hang out with and play music with. And, he's always in a positive attitude for the most part, so it's one of the best things. You can go over there and jam with him, and he's not going to be like, oh, you're in the wrong key or anything like that. He just likes playing music and likes hanging out with people, and that's one of my favorite things about him. And you know what else? It's pretty cool that he's going out doing shows again. This is his livelihood, and he's got the benefit of being able to bring a litany of different musicians with him. He can go solo, or he can go with Brad, his bassist, in the Blue Ribbon Ramblers, and they call themselves Clint Riedel and the Truth. Otherwise, he can bring in drummer and guitar as well, which, they could go full band Blue Ribbon Ramblers, or they can do any combination of it, really. And that's one of the coolest parts about him is when people hit him up for shows, he has the option to tell people, like, hey, I can come solo and it'll be this much, or I can bring a whole band, it'll be that much. So he's got options as far as a musician goes, and that's pretty sweet. Not too many musicians have the options available to him that he does. And if there's an off chance where one of the other musicians has a gig booked already, he can just go solo, and that's pretty sweet as well. He can do it all, ladies and gents. Clint Riedel. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. It was really fun to sit down and talk with him. I don't get to sit down and talk to too many people face to face anymore. I'm trying my best to do it, but at the same time, I'm not going to poke the bear and go out of my way too much just to bother people face to face. I get it. There's a pandemic, and it's rough. It really is rough. But I do like going to those jam nights in Barnum. They've been pretty packed with musicians lately, and it's been one of the more fun things that I've been able to do during all this, and it's the Junkyard in Barnum's a fun place. I got to reiterate one more time that, they didn't pay us to say anything nice about them. They didn't pay us a dime. We just said nice things about them because they're awesome. So if you guys are in the Fort Dodge area and you haven't been to Barnum to the Junkyard, go check it out. It's a bar, it's a grill, they got music, and boom, it's one of my favorite places to go. I go there sometimes and I'll snag a burger before the jam nights and things like that, and then I'll get up on the guitar and jam a little bit on Tuesdays. So if you're free on a Tuesday evening, swing out to a jam night. Check out Barnum's Facebook page. They've got all the updates for all the jam nights and stuff. On the off chance one has to get canceled in case Clint gets a gig or something, but Clint runs the jam nights there, so that's what's pretty cool. I kind of, it's a little bit of a drive for me, but it's tons of fun to be out there and just hanging out with people, and I meet new people almost every single week I'm there, so that's also pretty cool. And I just really like being able to go out and play some music with people, and it's nobody's judging you there, and everybody's just there to have a good time. And that's one of my favorite things about going to jam nights is everyone just kind of, hey, have you ever heard this song? It's in this key, and just go for it. And it just kind of comes out as it comes out, and that's what's really fun about it. You get to make music on the fly, and guess what? You get to make friends on the fly, too. So check it out. Hey, also scroll down below. I put a link to Clint's music video that I helped him make. So if you guys want to check that out, there's a link in the description section as well as links to everything else Clint Riedel has going on. So check that out as well. And hey, I'll tell you what, I will check everybody next week. I got to give a shout out to everybody that's listened throughout the COVID. It's been kind of tough. There's not too much to talk about musically. There is some stuff to talk about, and I've been trying to pull out all the stops and talk with as many people about as much stuff as I can. But it's not really like there's tons of people out there playing shows right now. It's still pretty thin, if you ask me. So, hey, if you guys want to talk about something, hit me up. Go to audiblefarm.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and fill out one of our little forms there. We got forms that'll say, hey, I'm this person, I play in this band, and blah, blah, this, that, and the other, and you can send it to me. I will get it in an email, and I will do my best to contact you. The worst part about a lot of that stuff is it goes like an accordion. Sometimes I'll have like 5 or 6 people send me an email in a week, and then I won't have anybody send me anything for months. So it's kind of goofy, and the worst part is sometimes by the time I get back to some people, they're not as active with music as they used to be, so it is a little bit difficult trying to wrangle everybody together and talk to everybody, but hey, send me a line. Otherwise, you can go to audiblefarm.com, listen to all of the Audible Farm podcast stuffs, as well as find our links to everything. Also, on the bottom of the Audible Farm website, you can find links to other podcasts, radio shows, and things of that nature there as well. I just did my best to make a nice little conglomeration of everybody that I knew was making music and what they were doing and who supports music and how they support it and whether or not it's a radio show, etc. I got a pretty good list down there, so check that out if you guys are into live music and you like what we're doing. You'll probably like what someone else is doing too, so check it out. Otherwise, go back, listen to the old episodes. I think this is like the 4th episode I've done with Clint, maybe the 5th. So if you're looking for like more of a background story on what goes on with Clint, go back to like episode, what is it, like 10 or so? Somewhere in like episode 10 was like the first time I ever met Clint, so it was kind of a pretty interesting conversation we had there. And you just go ahead and check out all the old episodes. Let us know which one you have as a favorite. So, yeah, appreciate it. And gotta say thanks to Couchtown Coffee. Couchtown Coffee has just been killing it, been supporting us for months and months, and almost the entirety of the podcast. So hats off to them. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. www.couchtowncoffee.com. Otherwise, I gotta say thanks to Clint for joining me on this podcast. I gotta say thanks to you for listening. Shout out once again to Couchtown Coffee, and we'll throw another high five at the Junkyard Bar and Grill for throwing those jams. All right, that's it. We're done. We'll check you next week, everybody. Peace.